Okay, so today we are starting our silk painting on our silk hoops here. As you can see, I already got my image laid out. In order to do that, so I don't have the drawing that I used for this with me right now, but just to show you how I did it basically, you can see, obviously this is a different drawing, I'm just showing you how see-through this is. So you can see through the silk, it's really nice and thin. So what I did was I took my fish drawing, I put it behind my silk hoop, and I used, where's the camera? I used my resist there to just trace the lines. And that's how I got my nice fish drawing. So what I recommend you doing is obviously sketching, since that's what I asked you to do, but it's gonna make this part a lot easier for you. So decide on what you want to do for your design on your composition here, and then literally just put it behind the silk hoop and trace using your resist. So that's what I did before this. Now I'm gonna start painting it. I just wanted to take a video of me painting because I wanted you guys to see how the paint behaves on the silk. So what I have here is some diluted paint. Virtual students, I am giving you guys watercolor, but it pretty much behaves the same way. So let's see, where do I want to start? So you'll be able to see that resist, the whole point of it is to keep the paint or the dye from going outside of the lines that you created. Like I said, the color that I'm working with right now is a little bit diluted. I wanted it to be that way because I'm just starting with like a light base. Then I'll go back in and do some darker spots. You don't have to get too close to the edge because the color is gonna bleed a lot. That's just, like I said, this is why I'm doing this. I wanted you to see how it behaves on the silk. The silk is really absorbent, so you don't have to get super close to the edge of your lines. It's gonna just spread out like you see there. Whoops. Alright, so it kind of acts like watercolor, like I said before. So the more that you layer it up, the darker it's gonna get. I didn't really get as dark as I wanted to over here, so I'm just going back over it. But you can use that quality to kind of just build it up. So the color that I was using before was diluted with some water. Now I'm gonna use a more concentrated version of the same color. Now this is still wet over here, so you can see how it is behaving a little differently than this area. So that area was dry when I started painting. This area is still wet. So you can see the difference in how the paint is behaving. So this area is also more dry. Whereas this is still a little wet over here. So just keep in mind that it's gonna change the way that your paint acts when you put it down. Okay. Another cool thing about this paint, and I'm not gonna show you on this hoop, but I'm gonna show you on a different one, on my practice one. So another cool thing about this dye, so this is the silk dye and this is watercolor. This is silk dye, this is watercolor. They act really similar. Obviously I went farther with this area than I did over here. But what I want to show you is this salt technique. It works both with the watercolor and with the silk dye. So this is the silk paint right here. This is the watercolor. So it works on both. I'm going to show you how it works. So this is literally just salt right here. What I'm going to do is put some water down. Hold on, this brush is not clean. Give me a second. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some water down. Then I'm gonna put some paint down. And then while this is still wet, I'm going to sprinkle the salts on it to get that effect. So the salt kind of absorbs some of the paint and it gives you a really cool effect. So I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. And you have to do this while it's wet or it's not gonna work. I'm just giving that salt a little bit of time to absorb. Okay, I'm supposed to leave this on here until it's completely dry, so I'm gonna spare you the fun of watching paint dry, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all dry.